Fred, why does your shirt smell like perfume?
What are you talking about?
Don't play dumb with me, Fred. I can smell it clear as day.
I don't know what you're talking about.
You're lying to me, Fred. I can't believe you would betray me like this, especially when I only have a few months to live.
Betty, please, I swear I haven't cheated on you.
Then how do you explain the perfume on your shirt?
I don't know. Maybe someone bumped into me at work or something.
That's a terrible excuse, Fred. I can't believe you would try to lie to me like this.
I'm not lying, Betty. I love you and would never do anything to hurt you.
I don't know if I can believe you anymore, Fred. This is just too much for me to handle right now. Hi there. My name is Betty, and I'm here to share my story with you. I was in my 60s when I found out that I only had 6 months left to live. It came as a shock, to say the least. I had always been relatively healthy, so the news hit me like a ton of bricks. It turned out that I had a tumor in my lungs and was too advanced to be treated. I had been married to my husband Fred for only 20 years. We married late because I was so focused on my career. I had always been ambitious, and climbing the ladder was my top priority. It wasn't until I hit my 40s that I realized that I wanted more out of life. That's when I met Fred. At first, he seemed like the perfect partner. He was kind, patient, and supportive. He understood my drive and my passion for my work, but he also knew when to encourage me to take a step back and enjoy the simpler things in life. We had a good life together. Of course, we had our fair share of arguments, but they were never too serious. The only thing that I didn't quite like about him was that he could be a bit of a flirt sometimes, but I'd usually brush it off, thinking a little flirting would help him do his job better, and after all, it was harmless. Fred was a collector and gallery manager, and I was a painter. While his job required him to go out a lot and socialize with people, I spent a lot of my time reflecting and working alone. We actually met at work and got together not long after. We both shared a love for art and culture, and we often worked together on projects. Fred was my biggest supporter and critic. He always pushed me to be better and to try new things. Painting was my passion, my lifeline, and my escape from the world. It gave me a sense of purpose and fulfillment that I had never found in anything else. But now, as I face the end of my life, I can't help but feel a sense of regret. I wish I had spent more time exploring the world and creating new memories with more people. But most of all, I wish I had taken better care of my health. I always knew that I had lung problems. I just never thought it was that serious. I had been a smoker for most of my life, even though I had quit years ago. The damage had already been done. Fred and I made plans to spend the last 6 months of my life at home, painting and creating art for people to remember me by. I knew that my time on this earth was limited, and I wanted to make the most of it. I wanted to leave a legacy behind, something that would live on even after I was gone. That's why I made Fred promise to donate all of my insurance money to charity. I had always believed in giving back to the community, and I wanted to do my part even in death. Fred was hesitant at first, but I convinced him that it was the right thing to do. I spent hours researching different charities and organizations, trying to find the ones that aligned with my values and beliefs. In the end, I settled on a few that I felt were doing important work. Everything was so beautiful and bittersweet, but only for the first 2 weeks. After that, Fred started to spend less and less time at home. I wondered if that was just the way he coped with the bad news. Maybe he needed some time alone to process everything. But as the days turned into weeks, I couldn't help but feel like something was off. Fred was always vague about where he was going or what he was doing. He would come home late, smelling of alcohol, and would barely say a word to me. I tried to talk to him about it, but he would always brush me off, saying that he was just busy with work or that he needed some time to himself. One day, I smelled a strange perfume on his shirt, and we got into a big fight. Fred, why does your shirt smell like perfume?
What are you talking about?
Don't play dumb with me, Fred. I can smell it clear as day.
I don't know what you're talking about.
You're lying to me, Fred. I can't believe you would betray me like this, especially when I only have a few months left to live.
Betty, please, I swear I haven't cheated on you.
Then how do you explain the perfume on your shirt?
I don't know, maybe somebody bumped into me at work or something.
That's a terrible excuse, Fred. I can't believe you would try to lie to me like this.
I'm not lying, Betty. I love you and would never do anything to hurt you.
I don't know if I can believe you anymore, Fred. This is too much for me to handle right now. Despite the fact that he kept denying it at all costs, my gut feeling was telling me something else, and I was devastated. It wasn't even about the perfume anymore. It was about everything else. The way he would come home late or treat me like a burden in his life. The only thing in my mind was, how could he do this to me? Especially now, when I needed him more than ever. We argued for hours, and I cried until I had no more tears left. After that, Fred tried to make it up to me by buying me flowers every day and cooking romantic dinners for me. He would hold my hand and tell me how much he loved me and how sorry he was for how he had made me feel. I was still hurt, but couldn't shake off the bad feeling. I couldn't help but wonder if he was only doing these things to make himself feel better or if he was truly remorseful. But I didn't want to spend the last months of my life worrying about nonsense. I decided to try and let go of my anger and focus on the good moments we had left together. As the days went by, I found myself spending more and more time working on my last painting collection. It was my final masterpiece, and I poured all of my emotions into it. The more I worked on it, the more I knew it was something special. And then something incredible happened. I found a very wealthy and well-known art collector who would love to purchase my last painting collection, which would result in an enormous payout. It was the news I had been waiting for, the validation I had always wanted for my work. I knew it was something that would make Fred proud, but for some reason, I didn't tell him right away. I still had doubts about him, and I didn't know if I could trust him with something so important. The thought of him taking advantage of me or my work made me feel sick to my stomach. Soon I realized that my gut feeling was spot on. That day I decided to meet up with the art collector. I didn't want to tell Fred about the meeting, so I told him that I was out with some friends. The meeting was shorter than I thought, and I finished earlier than expected. As soon as I came back home, I walked into my husband with a woman in our bedroom. I was shocked and didn't know what to do. All the trust that I had put in him came crashing down. I overheard him telling her that he would spend my insurance money on her, not on a charity as we had previously discussed. My heart sank and my tears streamed down my face. I couldn't believe that he would betray me in such a way. I confronted them right there and then, kicked that woman out of my house, and had a huge fight with Fred. I can't believe you would do this to me, Fred. How could you cheat on me with another woman?
Oh, please, Betty, stop being so clingy. You're going to be dead soon anyway with your illness.
How could you say something like that? I thought you loved me.
I do love you, but that doesn't mean I have to be tied down to you forever. You're always so needy and demanding. I need some space.
I am not needy. I just want to spend the rest of my time with you and have a happy life together. Is that too much to ask?
Yes, it is too much. You're always nagging me and making me feel suffocated. I can't take it anymore.
I'm sorry if I've been a burden to you, Fred. I didn't mean to be. I just wanted to share my life with you.
Well, you're not sharing anything with me anymore. I'm done with this marriage. It's over.
You're breaking up with me? After cheating on me like that? Fred, have you ever even loved me? How could you do this to me after all that we have been through?
Listen up. You're going to be dead anyway with your illness. Don't you get it? I'll say it again. You are going to die soon, so don't tell me what to do.
That's it. I don't deserve it. Get out. I kicked him out of my house right that night. I was deeply hurt by Fred's cruel words. I couldn't believe that he would say something so heartless to me, especially since I was already dealing with so much on my plate. As he was leaving, he threatened to get my insurance money and our shared property, no matter what. For the next few days, I felt so lost and alone. I couldn't believe that someone I loved and trusted could turn on me so quickly, but eventually I knew that I had to be strong. I contacted a lawyer and started to protect my assets. The process wasn't easy. I knew that I had to fight for what was rightfully mine. I couldn't let Fred's cruel words and threats get to me. As part of securing my assets, I decided to draft a will. I made the decision to donate all of my insurance payouts to charity, leaving Fred with no money. I knew it was a bold move, but I felt like it was the right thing to do. I wanted to make sure that my money went towards a good cause and not into the hands of someone who had hurt me so deeply. But everything did not go as planned. To my surprise, Fred had been spying on me. He found out that I had met up with a lawyer and knew that I was taking steps to protect myself. Right on the next night, I came home to find that half of my paintings had been ruined. I knew immediately that it was Fred's doing. He had snuck into my house and destroyed my belongings to get back at me. I was devastated by his actions. It felt like he was trying to take away everything that was important to me. At that moment, it really felt like my whole life was falling apart. But then something amazing happened. I received a call from my doctor, who told me that there had been a mistake. He had mistaken my test results for another patient's, and I didn't have a tumor after all. Instead, I had a lung disease that was treatable with medication. I was overjoyed by the news. It felt like a weight had been lifted off my shoulder. I had been so worried about my health and my future, and now I knew that I had a path forward. It was then that I finally gained back the strength to continue my fight against the man I once loved. I decided to sue my husband for the destruction of my paintings. It was a difficult decision to make, but I knew that I needed to stand up for myself and for my art. In the end, I won a larger amount of money than the value of the paintings themselves. It was a small victory, but it was a victory nonetheless. I then called the collector who had expressed interest in my paintings. I explained what had happened and offered to sell the rest of the paintings to him. He was sympathetic to my situation and agreed to buy the remaining paintings. It was a bittersweet moment for me. On the one hand, I was glad to have found a buyer who really appreciated my work. On the other hand, it was a reminder of what had been lost. I decided to use the money from the sale of my painting to start a new project, something to give back to the community that I had always wanted. This was when the hospital where I got wrongly diagnosed come in. I was still upset about the mistake, and I knew that the consequences could have been severe if I had decided to sue them. However, I didn't want to focus on the negative. I wanted to use this experience as an opportunity to do something positive with my life. Instead of suing the hospital, I decided to approach them with a different proposal, an opportunity for them to participate in my charity project. I had been working on helping children with cancer, and I thought that the hospital could be a great partner. They had the resources and the expertise to help me make a real difference in the lives of these children. After some negotiation, the hospital agreed to participate in my charity project. They would provide funding, resources, and support to help me achieve my goals. With the success of my charity project and the sale of my paintings, my life had taken a positive turn. I was feeling fulfilled and happy, and I knew that I had made the right decisions. But there was still one more consequence of my husband's action that I had not anticipated. I had not expected the amount of backlash that my husband would face after the news of what he had done became public. It was all over the news, and the people were outraged. His employer was not immune to the backlash, and he lost his job as a result. To be honest, I did feel bad for him, but I knew that I had to focus on the positive and move forward. Now I'm living my best life without my husband and his dirty tricks. I am doing what I love, and I'm making a difference in the world. I have made new friends and have found a sense of purpose. My life is full of joy and happiness, and I'm grateful for all of the opportunities that have come my way.